Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your favorite speedster here, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a review today on XDefiant and the game so far, its state of play, how things are going, and what I think so far. I know recently Season 1 just released about a week or two ago, and yeah, I've been wanting to get my thoughts and everything about the first season and the preseason leading up to it. So yeah, for the most part, I'm going to be talking about the pros, what it does right, what's going good in the game so far. Then we're going to get into the cons, what needs to be basically what's like not really as good as the game, what basically needs to be addressed further on down the line. And then we're going to basically be talking about enhancements, what the game can do to improve its game for like longevity and some like good features to add in the near future. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so getting into the pro section, our first pro when it comes to XDefiant is the gameplay. I think the gameplay is pretty much solid. It's pretty good. The gunfights, how the guns feel, they feel pretty good. You know, there's nothing really I can complain about. Sure, there may be a little hiccups and stuff when it comes to gunfights and stuff like that, but we'll get to that later when we get to the cons. But so far, the gameplay, it's nice and smooth, it's fast paced. You know, have really no complaints when it comes to the gameplay. It gets everybody, you know, really involved, and there's nothing really to complain about. And when it comes to the gameplay, as it really feels like, you know, an arcade shooter. You know, people are not as like camping as much in compared to like Call of Duty or any other games. So yeah, it's a really good gameplay so far, especially coming from the server sessions and like the beta test, the alpha from when I played it. So it's much more improved in that sense. And which leads me to my next point within the pros is the movement. The movement is very good. I really like the movement. How you basically are able to move on a dime, you know what I'm saying, maneuver, you know, try many things with the movement, you know, slide cancel, everything like that. The movement is pretty good as well, along with the gameplay, and just adds an extra amount of, you know, quality of life to it. So yeah, the movement is very sound, very good. There is some hiccups with the movement sometimes, and we'll get to that when it comes to like bunny hopping and stuff like that. But so far the movement, can't really complain, as it's really stellar, and hopefully they continue to improve upon it later on, which we'll touch upon soon. And next on our list is maps. I would say the maps are pretty decent. I wouldn't call them above and beyond, but they're good for what they are, basically, for what XDefiant offers with this fast gameplay, movements, and everything. So I think they're pretty good. There's some standout ones, and there's one that are like my least favorite. Most notably, probably my least favorites would be either Arena, as sure it's a good place to get kills, but in terms of like there's like really no space for you to hide or like have good cover and stuff like that, and just like there's some aspects of it that are not my cup of tea. And then others like Echelon HQ, where I think it's like kind of a little bit too wide and big, as there's other like lots of places for people to camp and stuff like that. But so far I haven't really run into much of those issues, but just something to point out basically. But so far like the maps are pretty decent, especially for game modes like Escort and like Zone Control. I think the maps are pretty cool, and especially with the new one that just came out with GSK Clubhouse from Rainbow Six Siege. I think it outputs a lot of variables to like how you move and how you play, which is a very good, which they should like add more definitely in the future. Then next up on our list is the factions. Now, to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of like hero shooters in terms of like special abilities and like supers and all that stuff. But when it's done right, I will admit it is pretty fun to do, and that's I think what XDefiant shines at, is with their factions, with Echelon, the Phantoms, and Cleaners. Just basically everybody, DedSec, you know, everybody has a good balance to them, and they, you know how to like, there's a good counter to every faction basically. Sure, recently that there's been like bugs with some of the factions like DedSec, where the spider bot has been an issue. It's been buffed a little bit, and you can't really shoot it off your face the way how you used to in the beginning with the preseason, as that's been an issue. But I've heard they've been like they're going to fix that in the near future, but it's just like those are like little minute things to me that can be fixed, so I ain't really pressing about it too much. But so far the factions, how they're used and utilized, I think they're pretty much add really good. They had really something to the game that I think is very unique, and it's not, you know, they're not the first game to do this, of course, but it's like how it feels, how they people play with the factions. I think is really cool in a sense. I like how each ability, like I said, counteracts each one another. So far the factions, they're pretty fine for what they are. Nothing too extraordinary, but they're fine for what they are. And yeah, then next pro are the camos, especially the new camos that just released with the first season. I think the camos are very, very good. You know, they add a little something. I wish they would add a little bit more camos, but we'll get into that later. But so far the camos, especially the mastery camos, how they look and how they're like projected on the gun is very, very nice. And how you earn them it's basically like the old way of COD, where you just basically have to level up your gun in a sense, back when you used to do that in like MW2, not BO2, but basically MW2, MW3, you basically just like level up your gun and then you get the camos as you progress your gun and stuff like that. So basically it's the old way of how you do it, but you know, there's some little gripes with that. I think because of like how the XP works with like gun leveling, it can be a little slow, but they have recently buffed that up a little bit to make it more manageable. But I think they can like still add buff up the XP gain a little bit, but again, we're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, so far the camos look nice, they're very stylish, and I have a good feeling that they're gonna probably add like a little bit more sooner or later with the upcoming seasons and updates. So very, very good camo variety for sure, which goes to my next point of gun customization. It's basically, like I said, how it used to be with like the pick 10 system of like how gun customization is and stuff like that. They've taken inspiration with like newer games, FPS games and stuff like that, but they've made it their own. And I think how the like gun customization works is pretty much stellar. They basically improved upon it definitely from the server sessions and the betas tests. So for sure the gun customization is optimal. I think they could add a little bit more with it and like yeah, add a few more features to the gun customization. But for what it is, I think I don't really see a problem with it. It's pretty much good for what it is, so I can't really complain there. And then for our last point of pros is no skill based matchmaking, which is a definite pro in my book, as I cannot tell you how miserable it was, especially from my few rants from before on MW2 and MW3, stuff like that. My past rants were skills based matchmaking was just, it's not fun, dude, because every time you do good, you just keep getting trashy games with teammates who don't know what they're doing well. Other teams just sweat and everything. And sure, you can make the case that happens with or without no skill based matchmaking, but it's like it's less prevalent and you don't get punished for it every single game when you do good. As with no skill based matchmaking, it's random. You know, if you don't want to play in a certain game, then you can just leave and just find another. You have a good chance of finding another group that may be more good than your last game. So yeah, no skill based matching is a definite win in my books, dude, and it will continue to be a win in my books. I don't care what anybody says. So yeah, until they prove me otherwise, that there's like another type of matchmaking, input based matchmaking is basically a win. It's a win. So yeah, now we're gonna move on to the con. All right, now moving on to our cons, and the first and probably the most important one within this section is the netcode / hit registration. which has been basically the biggest problem with XDefiant since the beta test and the alpha, even the alpha, is the netcode. And in comparison to other FPS games, it's not atrocious, but it is, a major problem in the community's eyes as well as my eyes, what I think so far. And I know they've been tweaking the netcode and the hit registration and stuff like that ever since then, but it's just like it's still kind of noticeable. It's much better from the server session for sure, but it's like it's still kind of noticeable at times, whereas I'll be shooting a person and for some reason my bullets don't register and then I end up getting killed basically in an unfair fight. And I've been seeing multiple players throughout the community have the same problem, if not worse than my problem. So yeah, the netcode hit registration definitely needs to be fixed. It's definitely a major issue within this game, when it was kind of holding it back a bit, as players can't really get into fair fights or can't really do anything because the netcode's kind of in the way. So definitely a major con within this section and within the game that needs to be fixed. Again, the team, Mark Rubin and the team, are constantly trying to fix it, as it's been kind of leaked by Mark Rubin that the original engine is not meant for like a FPS shooter in comparison to other games, which is kind of foretelling given the game of this state of the game right now. But they are fixing to make it more manageable and everything, but it's gonna be kind of a tough one since the engine's not built for an FPS game like this. So hopefully we will see more major improvements in the near future. But yeah, that's our first point. And next up, we're gonna move on to the content, which is there's not really enough content in a sense in terms of the battle pass, the game modes, the challenges, stuff like that. It's just not enough content for keep players on this game for the most part, whereas in other games, they have a good record or have shown to like retain players with their content and stuff like that. But in XDefiant's case, I know it's just like a brand new free-to-play game that's like trying to work its way up to that point, but it's like in order for this game to really last, it needs to up its content and what's willing to offer to players in terms of what I've mentioned before, especially since the new Call of Duty game is coming, Black Ops 6, which is gonna be, it's been hyping up many players across the gaming community, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty good, especially as it's like bringing back the prestige system, has new movement, the Omni movement coming, and other features, zombies, round-based zombies coming back and stuff like that. So in order for like XDefiant to really compete with Call of Duty, not necessarily kill it, but just compete with it, it needs to really add more content in order for it to keep players wanting to play on it, and just basically be a solid game in general. So and then our next con on our list is the XP gain. I hope I said that right, sorry. XP gains, basically, which I mentioned earlier, as with like the weapon leveling, the battle pass leveling, and just like leveling up in general. Like I said, the XP has been changed and maneuvered and like adjusted a bit to make it more manageable, but I still think the XP gain is really good enough for players to keep playing in the long run. I know there's like XP boosters and stuff like that to help make the XP gain much more suitable to what it really is, and you can do challenges to get XP boosters and stuff like that for the battle pass and your weapons. But I think if they just adjusted a little bit more, in my opinion, I think the XP gain, the XP in general, will be much more suitable. Basically how, if you like say build upon, like if it's like a double XP weekend and then you add a double XP booster, weapon booster, while on top of that I think how that runs, if they could just make that a little bit more normalized in the regular base game, I think more people wouldn't have a problem trying to level up their guns and basically, you know, just have a smooth, I guess, smooth experience for the most part. Just a smooth experience. But that's a little nitpick, nor there. But hopefully that'll get much better with time. So let's hope. And then our next con is the console frame rate drops, which has been kind of a problem with the first season in its launch. And yeah, like just basically consoles, basically their frame rates start to drop massively at times. I don't know how and why that is, but it's just some reason that's been a problem, major issue for consoles since season 1 dropped. Again, there have been updates and stuff that have fixed it, but yeah, hopefully something like that won't happen again or whatever, and it may be fixed at some time by making this video, but still, you know, hopefully that won't be a problem like that in the near future, and that'll get fixed more to where that won't happen. So yeah, just something I want to add into the cons basically is that. And then like I said, for the next point, it's kind of in 12 to what I said earlier with the factions and stuff earlier. Is basically the bugs and stuff for like certain factions. Like I said, the spider bot and other stuff. The you know, sometimes phantoms glitch out with the shields and stuff like that. Sometimes the EMP don't work. Even though now there's been an update where the EMP basically hurts the phantom super. So I'm glad they added that in. But yeah, just basically just some like bugs and like faction issues that just need to be addressed with that as a con. And yeah, just improve upon it. That's basically it. And then last but not least for our cons, we have bunny hopping. And again, I know this has been tuned in the preseason, but in my eyes, it's still kind of an issue as you still have people just abusing the bunny hopping feature, where you can basically just, you have the ability to basically move mid-air in any direction. And yeah, the limit they put on the bunny hopping is, I think you can jump like 3 or 4 times. I think it's 4 times, and there'll be like a penalty for your aim if you jump that much, which is okay, I guess, but it's like it doesn't really help because it doesn't really take them through like 4 jumps. It basically takes them like 1 or 2 to really kill somebody with the bunny hopping. So hopefully they can just limit it to at least make it 2 instead of 4, as that will really like incentivize players to stop abusing that feature, the bunny hopping mechanic, and make it more suitable for players and like have it a much smooth overall experience while playing, instead of dealing with sweats who just constantly bunny hop to get kills, as it's kind of corny. So hopefully if you could just like limit it down to 2, it'll be a much better experience overall. But yeah, that we got those cons out the way, let's move on to our final section, which is enhancements. Alright, and now we're in our final section, which is the enhancement section. And to start this one off, I have one that I think might be a good feature, which is persistent lobbies. Now, if you don't remember what persistent lobbies were, basically in like old Call of Duty, you basically had lobbies where once you got in a lobby, you basically stuck in that lobby, and you kept basically it built up a basically a sort of competitiveness / rivalry with certain players, and you was able to basically make friends in that lobby. If it was a really good lobby, you was really enjoying that lobby. And that's basically what persistent lobbies were, where yeah, you basically just stayed in that lobby. You know, if you were like beefing with other players, you basically made like a rivalry type lobby and stuff like that. Just basically, it was like a cool way to like interconnect the community essentially and make friends and stuff like that. So hopefully in the future they'll make more persistent lobbies instead of disbanding lobbies, as I think that would be a good feature for the long run for the community. And you know, just like make it more easy to find people and like again make friends and stuff like that, and make it more competitive as how it used to be. So yeah, that's my first point for the enhancement section. And next for that, we're gonna use. Sorry, we're gonna talk about kill cams, as I think kill cams will be a very good feature for this game, especially since it will tell people where they're getting shot from, what the spawns are like, saying if people are cheating and stuff like that. I think kill cams will add something very good to this game, as it's very much needed, especially with some of like the netcode issues and the hit registration. You kind of want to see how you died and where it came from. So I think kill cams would be a very good feature for this. I know it probably takes time to like implement that and like find the right coding and stuff like that, just basically work that way up to that point, but just hopefully they'll consider adding kill cams to this game, as I think it will be a very good feature and just help the game in the long run. And then speaking of kill cams, which kind of this next point is kind of intertwines with like the kill cams, and that's theater mode. I think theater mode will also be a good feature, as not only will you can tell if like somebody's cheating or not and stuff like that, but you can just basically build memories for XDefiant with like theater mode, how you can like record your best gameplays and like share it with your friends or the community, or just like capture funny moments and just like make your own funny edits. Just like you can basically do a lot of things with theater mode. So hopefully, again, that's probably also something that may take a little time to like make, because that's not an easy feature to make, as I'm sure it requires a lot of funding and stuff like that. But just like hopefully in the future they'll consider adding a theater mode along with kill cams, as I think theater mode is always a plus when it comes to games like this, as it offers like diversity and just like builds within the community. The next up, I think I touched upon this earlier. I have limit bunny hopping to 2 or 3 hops, which I already mentioned, so we'll just skip that. Add iconic characters to factions. And what I mean by this is, like, say you have the Echelon faction. You have the 3 characters, I forgot their names, but you have those 3 characters for that faction. But I think we'll give more credence to this game is if they add iconic characters like Sam Fisher from the Splinter Cell series. If they would have added people like that, or what's his name from Watch Dogs 2, Marcus. If they add Marcus from like Watch Dogs 2 into this game and stuff like that, like they already have like the IP for these games within XDefiant, these like iconic Ubisoft games, and it's just like, I think it will boost the marketing much more if they add, iconic characters to these factions, as it'll give it more incentive for new players to like come and like try out the game and stuff, or like returning players, like hardcore players, to like basically return to the game and like give them like cool, skins and customization. So I think that will probably add more to the game overall, and just basically make it more fun and cool, since you already have other games doing this tactic. So like, why not capitalize on that, basically? And I know that they'll probably have to run this by, I guess, their higher ups, because since they are using these IPs already and like using original characters, so they probably have to discuss it. But just like, if they can, I think they should use it. So that's another point for enhancements. And then let's see, next up we have more game modes and maps. I think I just voice cracked, sorry. More game modes and maps. Like I said before, in order for this game to sustain for like a long period of time, they need to add more game modes, they need to add more maps. I know within the next few months they're gonna add more maps, but it's just like, it shouldn't be like a monthly thing. It should be like, well, it should be a monthly thing, but if they're gonna do it like that, they need to add more maps, like how they do with, like how they used to do it with basically like 4 maps for an expansion, stuff like that. They need to basically keep upping their game in terms of the game modes and maps. I know there's been leaks. I think earlier, a few weeks ago, where they leaked there's going to be more game modes like capture the flag. Well, that's already in the game, but like party game modes and like infected, search and destroy. They're going to add that soon. There's going to be more game modes coming, but they need to basically keep that up basically for like adding more content, as that's going to basically help sustain them in the long run. So definitely keep adding game modes and maps for sure. The next step, we already talked about that, upping the weapon XP games. We already talked about that. Private matches, that's another feature where I think people could utilize for sure, especially if they just want to have fun, just play with friends and stuff like that. You can do so much with private matches. The fact that they haven't like implemented that in the base game is kind of, a little suspect, but definitely they should add a private match feature for sure, as you can do so much. You can create your own game mode, create your own, type of teams and stuff, like just work on different stuff, play against bots to like practice in the off time, just private matches are for sure a way to bring the community together for sure. So definitely that should be something that should be added into the game, is private matches. And then next up we have updating the voice chat. And what I mean by updating the voice chat is basically make it more how it used to be in terms of like interacting with like each team. Where you could basically, if you like kill somebody, you can hear like 3 seconds of their voice and stuff like that. You can hear like they like rage and stuff like that. Like bring that stuff back. And like also after like the game ends, you can still like interact with other teams with their with voice chat basically. Just make it more interactive. And plus it's like a good way to add it's more content creation for content creators basically. You have content for that because you can make rage compilations, like rage montages and stuff like that, voice chat stuff like that. So yeah, basically update the feature of the voice chat, because there's could be so many bonuses to basically interacting with other people in general. So I think they should do that for sure and make it more inclusive. And then next up after that is adding exclusive maps for like I'm trying to find a way to word this right. Add basically playlists or mosh pits, especially exclusive map playlists there. That's what I was trying to get at. As say, since we have like, I think Clubhouse now, make a playlist specifically for Clubhouse. If people just want to play on the new map, make a playlist or mosh pit for that, Make it like TDM or 24/7 Clubhouse, or like TDM Clubhouse, stuff like that, capture the flag club, like just like switch it up, add playlists and mosh pits, because I think, or basically how they did it with in the beginning with the preseason with the welcome playlist, make more playlists like that, as it'll offer different amounts of variety to the game and get people interested in playing the game. So I think for sure they need to start adding more playlists and mosh pits, especially for exclusive maps, because with like the new game maps like Daytona and like Rockefeller that's coming to the game, they for sure need to add playlists and mosh pits, as it's a good way to keep people playing on this game for sure. And I think last but not least, adding more challenges for rewards. And what I mean by that, it's like if they will like say if you get 5 headshots, or just make it something simple, or like 10 headshots for like 3 factions, you get a skin. Or say if you go digital, if you use the digital ghillie suit 5 times and get 5 times in a row or something like that, then you get a player model. add like a custom skin for like a player model and stuff like that. You know, add challenges like that to the game, because so far the challenges that they do have is kind of basic. I mean, some of them unlock operators, which is cool, but you know, there's not enough challenges in the game for, you know, people to really go for. Or if they are, then they already like completed it. You know, just need add more challenges that gives more rewards to the player, that rewards the player for their time of playing the game. You know what I'm saying, with like skins and like attachments, or yeah, just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because what's the point of like a game if you're not rewarded for it? You know, so that's the whole point of a video game, is to get rewarded for your efforts for playing the game and just like having fun for the game. So definitely add more challenges for rewards, because it's something that definitely, it goes into the fact of like adding more content. You need the content in order for this game to sustain. Alright, now here are my overall thoughts for the game. My overall thoughts is, this game, like, I know how this game is framed as a Call of Duty killer, and I don't really believe that, as Call of Duty has been basically a franchise since, I think it was 2008, 2009, and it had time to build upon itself with every game. So I'm not going to call it a Call of Duty killer, but it is a good competitor. It has the potential of being a good competitor to COD if it keeps building on what it has. It has a solid foundation so far, but it needs to keep building on that foundation and expanding. And I know that people at Ubisoft, like the team, Mark Rubin and his team, I know they can, you know, make this a quality game. It's just, you know, it just takes time, you know. But my overall thoughts is, it's a pretty solid, decent game with much improvement, with much to improve on, basically, as I've disclaimed earlier in the video, basically throughout the video. You know, saying has solid gameplay, solid movement, good decent maps, variety, good camos, yeah, and just basically the fact that it has no skill-based matchmaking in casual mode is always a win. You know what I'm saying? Leave that to ranked, don't put that in casual. And the gun customization and the factions, yeah, they're pretty much solid for that. Again, what it needs to improve upon is the netcode, the content, how much content they drop, you know, saying the XP gains, you know, fixing bugs and issues like bunny hopping, you know what I'm saying, tweaking certain abilities from certain factions and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying, adding features like theater mode, kill cams, stuff like that, adding iconic characters, I think will probably help them boost their attention and like retention for players, as that's very important in a game like XDefiant. And yeah, dude, just like so far, I think this game is pretty solid. Right now, as I'm recording this, I'm kind of taking a break from XDefiant. I'm taking a little break from it as I'm playing other games, and like with some of the issues and bugs that happened recently with the launch of season 1 just kind of made me, you know, step away for a little bit, as I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit annoyed with it. But so far, how the game is, it's not the perfect game, but it has the potential to be a very solid game. And I even said that in my last XDefiant video, but when I played the beta, it's like it has the potential to be a very, very, very good shooter game. You know, it just needs to basically improve upon, you know, what I've listed throughout the video, and just keep building, you know, just keep building upon what it has, dude, because it's a very solid foundation. You just gotta keep doing what they're doing, you know what I'm saying, keep listening to, that's especially, to keep communicating with the community, because I think that's one thing that XDefiant has over majority of like different FPS games, is it's good at communicating, especially with Mark Rubin, you know, being the head of this game, the head developer and stuff like that. He's very good at communicating, listening to the fan base, and implementing what needs to be implemented. And hopefully, if he does see this video, he'll probably think about some of these suggestions that I've made and like maybe carry them over to the game. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, because definitely like Mark Rubin has been like one of my favorite developers, especially since back in the day, like say NW3 and NW2 and stuff like that, when he was around back then, which made those games very like special to me, as it had quality of life features and stuff like that that just made the games 10 times much better. So hopefully they continue listening to the community and building upon this game. But yeah, without further ado, that's basically the end of the video. I haven't made a review or a rant video like this in a long while, so sorry if it's not all the way perfect and how I used to do it. It's been a minute, but yeah, I just thought I wanted to give my review of this game so far, since everybody's just been, it's been the buzz. This game's been basically the buzz for the past like year or two. So, and to see it like finally launch and like how people perceive it and how I've like perceived it and played it, it's like I've been having a pretty much solid experience so far. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's not all the way perfect, but it's good for what it is, and I can't wait to really see how this game is in the near future, especially how it's going to compete with BO6, because how BO6 is looking right now, we're basically in for like a battle of like what is going to sustain in the long run, basically. But yeah, that's been my video, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, this has been a hell of a video to make. You know, again, I haven't made a video like this in a long while, so thank you guys for sticking with me and for, you know, the content. I know you guys I've been recently playing Elden Ring. I'm going to be uploading more of that soon, as I still got a long ways to go, because there's a lot of content in Elden Ring. So yeah, be sure to check that out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think of the game so far. If you guys like it, if you don't like it, what you think can they improve upon. If you agree, disagree, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, without further ado, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace, guys.